and thanks so much for joining me for this Get Ready With Me featuring the new Tom Ford palette in Smoky Quartz. Now this is the all matte palette of the three, and I anticipated this one might take a little bit more time to work with because traditionally mattes can be a little bit trickier because there really is no room for error with them. But I think I successfully got the colors on today. Let's go ahead and get started on this one. Okay, let's go ahead in with the By Terry Brightening CC Serum. I want to keep the skin a little bit more glowy because this is going to be a matte palette. So I just want to have not everything super matte. So I started using that new face device, the one that you put gel on first, and then I'm trying to use it along the jawline a little bit here and under the cheekbones. So I'm trying to use that more frequently and use that gel product with it. So let me know if you know a way for that to absorb a little bit better into the skin because it sometimes leaves some residue, which I can see sometimes. Okay, let's go in with the Chantecaille Future Skin in Cream. Still one of my very favorite foundations, a really natural looking foundation. More skincare feel. Feels like a moisturizer. Sisley Under Eye Concealer, shade 4. Still testing out the Clé de Peau, the new one. I think it's going to be a little bit cool for this shade Cream, but let's see. I think it would be wise of Clé de Peau to come out with a color corrector in this formula because there's so many of us with dark spots that would really help, especially if you need to mix a little bit. That'd be great. La Prairie. And I do take this all the way to the inner corner. I don't know how much I mentioned that. All the way up here just to brighten. I really like the RODIAL glass powder. I've really been enjoying using these, especially in these drier, cooler months. The Chanel Le Beige bronzers. I went a little overboard on the bronzer the other day. I was like, wow, that was a lot. So I'm gonna go in with this lighter shade first, and then we'll build, because I think I took too much of the other shade. Okay, and then we're gonna go in with the Perfect Blur powder. Oh, I almost forgot eyebrows. Gucci pencil. This is the ROEN pencil. Diorshow Pump and Brow. Let's go ahead and get into the palette finally. So this is all matte. I'm not going to use primer. I didn't prime today because I noticed that when I used the other one in Tiger Eye, it was really easy to use without primer versus Rose Topaz, which was a little bit more difficult to work with, but I had primer on. And I played with Rose Topaz again this morning before I washed my face, and it did apply so much easier without primer. So I'll revisit that one in a bit, but let's go in with this first though. But let me know if there's something that you want to see swatched against these, because I'll be happy to do some comparisons for you when I do the roundup. That's nice. It evens out the skin tone. It's a lovely shade. Very much a nice neutral shade on me. Actually, let me put this all over my eye to serve as kind of a base, all the way up to the brow bone. And then let's do the same here. So let me know if there are other palettes you want to see swatched against these. I already have a request for Tissé Vendôme versus Tiger Eye, which I had pulled out when I did that video, but totally forgot to actually swatch it. So when I do the roundup, I can do some comparisons for you. By the way, that was a Chantecaille Shade and Sweep brush, which was really nice for that. I'm going to go in with this color right here in the crease. I think mattes in general can be a little bit more difficult to do well because everything is visible. I think with things that have a little bit of a reflective quality, you can mask some of those imperfections a little bit better. But mattes I think are trickier to do well. So when I see a matte that blends really easily, like one of the last ones I tried was the Natasha Denona palettes, the light and the dark palettes, really easy to blend. This is reminding me of that ease of blending on the mattes. Really pretty. And I'm going in really quite lightly, and this is again without primer. I feel like if I had primer, it's gonna really stick. Oh, by the way, I did do a side by side. I just wanted to see, so I experimented with that Rose Topaz palette. I don't know why I think it's called Rose something else, but Rose Topaz. I added primer on one side and no primer on the other, and the result was different. It was much more intense in terms of the color payoff with a primer. And it just had a different look about it. Again, a lot easier. And again, this is just like gently brushing the eye area. So I'm not very heavy-handed with my makeup brushes. I used to be, and then I learned it's a much more airbrush kind of look when it's a light, like a very light application. So that's just my preference though. Some people like to go in a little bit heavier. But this shows you the power of this shadow because I am barely touching this brush to my skin. That's really beautiful. Lovely. I'm excited for this color here. So we're going to go in with this deepest shade right now. We'll use that as eyeliner as well. It does get loaded on quite densely. So just going to be careful here. Make sure I don't put on too much. Just dot it on for a second here just to distribute between the two eyes. I'm going to take a clean brush here. But this deepest shade is more like the deep shade in the Rose Topaz palette in that it's very dense, highly pigmented, so just be careful with this one if you are just starting to use it because you're gonna get a lot of the material on there quickly. Also, I do find that it's nice to have a clean brush standing by with these darker shades, just to get them integrated in here a little bit better. I'm going to take another brush and just really place this very strategically on the exterior with a nice dense brush. I don't want to get anything extra in the crease there. We've got a lot in the crease there now. Yeah, this one definitely takes a little bit more concentration with this shade right here. The other two, not so much. But I would still be careful with this color right here because you saw how gently I was going in and how much you could already see it. Make sure I don't have any excess here. I'm gonna go in with this lovely shade right on the lid. Yeah, whenever I have a medium shade like this, if I can, I'll place it right here between the deepest and the lightest shade, just so there's a little bit of a blending of the two there. I'm gonna go in with another clean brush. Yeah, with that deepest shade, just get a really precise brush because once it's on there, it's on there. So going in with the deepest shade as an eyeliner. It's got the slightest fallout there because I think I had some excess on the brush. I went in with that darkest shade under. I'm gonna go in with this shade under the center part of my eye. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tightline, add mascara. I'll be right back. That is quite dramatic looking once I add eyeliner and mascara. I just tightlined with CHANTECAILLE's Eye Kajal in black, and then I went in the waterline with Chanel's Brun Agape. And finally, the mascara is CHANTECAILLE's Faux Longest Lash longest lash mascara. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a cheek. I was thinking about this and it really reminded me of this kind of shade. I thought this might go really nicely. It's Brun Roussi, but this one is quite pigmented on me right away. So we're going to go in with PECHE COSMIQUE first. So it'll allow me to build that a little bit more slowly. So this allows for a more controlled kind of application. And as one of you noticed, it brightens a bit as well. Bit of blur powder over that. Okay, and then let me figure out a lip. Okay, I'm thinking something like Rouge V by Chanel might be nice. Actually, that's a little bit brighter than I wanted it. So let me see. Let's try something else. Let's try Walk of a Star by Charlotte Tilbury. Okay, that's good. It's a little, just slightly more muted. Just taking a little bit of this ROEN lip gloss in Scout. It does have a purple tone to it. I'm gonna just add it to the center here. Okay, and then I just want to add a fragrance. Let's take a look at the, oh, it's over there. Hold on, let me get it. Let's go ahead and select a fragrance from the, I'm really enjoying this, the Fragrance Discovery Collection, because now I would love Tiare and Darby Rose. Actually, I'd probably go for Darby Rose for something like this, but I already tried that. So I'm curious about Le Wild. I anticipate this is going to be a little bit more full-bodied. It's got top notes of gardenia leaves, mid notes gardenia Brazil, Casablanca lily, tuberose, jasmine petals, and the dried down is ambergris and musk. Is it ambergris or ambergris? Let me look. Oh, okay, so they say ambergris. Doesn't sound as exciting that way. Let's see. Ooh, yes, that is more full-bodied. It's definitely a richer scent. Okay, it still maintains a freshness about it, but definitely has a gardenia fragrance to it. If you love the idea of floral fragrance, kind of like me, I love flowers. I love smelling flowers, but I don't really love floral perfumes because they tend to be a little bit artificial smelling and too heavy and too sweet. But these Chantecaille floral fragrances are beautiful. This does definitely have that tuberose, gardenia fragrance in it though. More full than the other floral fragrances that I recently tried out, which was Darby Rose and Tiare. Yeah, it's kind of a romantic perfume. Really beautiful. So we've got all of the shades on now. I added a little bit of this color right here. Let me just show you what I did. So I was looking at it like, that might be really interesting just to put that color right up here. So I added just a little bit slightly right here. So you can see it's like a dusty rose kind of a shade. I'm not sure what they call it, but I love that color. So I love all of the shades in here. And that was one thing I was really excited about. They are neutrals, but there's some warmth in here as well, which I know works really well on my skin tone, but it's not very, very warm where it gets lost on my coloring either. So I think that's like a tricky balance because cools typically look better on my skin tone, I've noticed. So in terms of the colors, I love all of them. Let's talk about the colors though. I love this one all over the eye because it served as a bit of a base without adding that base quality to it, where these were going to cling more than they even cling now. I mean, I love that about this formula is that they really melt into the skin. And I think with primer, it just is too much. So I really like applying these without primer. So I liked that this canceled out any of the redness on my eyes and really evened everything out first. So this is a great color just in general. I think I would use this across other palettes as well. Then I went in with this in the crease. I think if you are lighter in skin tone, actually it would have been interesting to try that, but I did not. But I put this in the crease. It looked really lovely, but if you notice, I just really slightly applied that on. That brush was barely touching my skin. That's how intense these pigments are. So just, I think with the mattes I've noticed, they are more intense than the shimmers, like a lot more intense though. So just being mindful when applying, or else it might end up being more than you expect. Yeah, I kind of anticipated that with this, which is why I went in so gently at first. And I'm glad I did. But what was really nice is that it was very even going on. no skipping, nothing patchy, which can be really difficult with matte, so they did a nice job here with that. Then I went in with this, which is a beautiful eyeliner color. So the second one that I used, Tiger Eye, that was not nearly as intense as this color right here. That is very much an eyeshadow that you can use as an eyeliner, no problem. Only thing I would caution you is though, make sure you don't have any excess on the brush because it will drop, not powder, but like chunks, because I noticed that I had a little bit too much on my brush there. So make sure you get that excess off of there before you go in, because especially as the eyeliner, you might end up with some right in this area, or just wait to do your makeup until after you're done. But in terms of when these are on, speaking to the previous palettes I've used, once they're in place, they don't go anywhere. There's no dropping or anything like that. It's only upon application if you pick up too much. Lovely, lovely as well. Then for this shade here, I really liked it right where I placed it, right above and then right on the eyelid. Again, I think that might be really pretty in the crease area as well if you want to go with something less dramatic. This turned out really dramatic. I didn't expect that. But I think what did it was this shade right here. Yeah, but lovely. So if you love mattes and you wanted to try this, I would give it a try. I don't think these are going to move around just based on the way they're looking now and comparing them to the previous palettes I've worn. There was no transfer, no creasing, none of that. So it might be worth a try if you were interested in them. I have to say I really do like this new formula, and I would love to see them come out with lots of other fun shades. I think some teals and blues would be gorgeous, but I am glad they came out with these neutrals first, which are very distinct from each other. So if you've seen all three videos, even though the palettes look the same online, they are very different in their overall look. I will certainly be using all of these, and on the daily, I use neutral palettes. So as fun as some of the other shadows are that I've picked up that I love playing with, I don't wear them daily. I will wear them for special occasions or dinners out or things like that, but really I get use out of my neutral palettes. Let me know what you would like to see compared against these palettes. I already have a request for Tissé Vendôme, which I completely forgot about. I took it out and everything. I was gonna swatch it against Tiger Eye. I forgot. So I will do that in the roundup video at the end of it when I talk about all of the palettes. If you're trying to make a decision, hopefully I can give you some more information about what's easier to apply versus more difficult, as well as some tips in case you already have the palette. I've used different kinds of brushes and with and without primer at this point, so I can give you some insight into that if you're interested. So if you see this within like, I don't know, 12 hours of when this originally posts, I'll be looking at the comment section below and I will pull palettes that I have for comparison in that roundup video, and that's going to come pretty quickly. So make sure to leave your request there. And if you leave it after that, when I revisit these, because I will probably at the end of the month, I can do it then as well. But if you have any urgent requests, let me know down below anything that you would like to see compared. That is it for today's video, so please take care of each other. Stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.